You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels almost, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been.
After an absolute slugfest at Michigan last week, we come to New England and the Miracle Mile here at Loudon, New Hampshire for round number 16 of season 46 of the Western States Racing League. Welcome to New Hampshire, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you, with my partner in crime, the man, the myth, the living legend over on the ones and twos in the production truck, Mr. Dave Regal. And Dave, I'm in the mood for some lobster.
I'll tell you what, we'll start the car and we'll go get the lobster. I'll tell you what, man. Here at Loudon, New Hampshire, things here in the Western States Racing League heating up. I mean,
Literally.
these drivers, yeah, literally. I mean, right now, the last we checked earlier, the track temperature is 120 degrees. And speaking of things heating up, Bentley Glazer here in qualifying, which is underway now, had gotten it all kinds of wrong and wound up getting a truck loose here.
Yeah, I saw that. So Glazer going to have to start deep in the pack here when we do turn these kids loose for all 120 laps of the scheduled distance here tonight. Not where he wants to be, but Brian Barnes goes to the top of the pile and is immediately bumped off by Wayne Hutchinson.
And, of course, Hutchison with that 30.45, that is the fastest time so far in the entire session. And, you know, we talk about Bentley Glazer having to start from pretty far back, at least after that first lap kerfuffle. He has now netted himself P3, and Glazer, of course, sitting atop the pile in the Western States Racing League points here, followed by Kyle McCartney. And McCartney is 85 points out of the lead right now in the season. So I got to be honest, I don't think that he's going to be much of a threat to Bentley Glazer, even if Bentley were to wreck on lap 4.
Well, you know, anything's possible here tonight as we only have 27 trucks showing up. 29 showing up. So there's quite a few points up for grabs. It all depends on, you know, what these guys can do. And I did notice that there is one very strategic name making his return tonight, and that, of course, is the number 12, Ryan Steele. Now, Ryan did make his return to the league last week at Michigan, had a very strong run, and from the looks of it, tonight is going to be one of the ones to beat, as he turned the most laps in the hot lap session.
Well, now, here's something interesting. So Ryan Steele in the number 12 Chevrolet has made his return, and one of the other drivers that I think we really need to pay attention to tonight is the double deuce of Jeff Schmeier. Schmeier, of course,
Absolutely.
won this race in the fall last season, so he's going to be hungry here, as he does have a couple of wins on the season now. But also, not to beat a dead horse, but in the season standings, Bob Beltrami sits third on the leaderboard, and Brian Barnes sitting fifth. Both of those drivers without wins in the top 5 in points. So I think if they're going to want to solidify the end of the season here, they're going to have to do something to try to get themselves into victory lane. And Jeff Hollingsworth now shooting to the top of the heap here with a
Making a
30.34. Yes, sir. Beating out Wayne Hutchison's time by more than a tenth of a second, as he has now laid down a 30.34 over the 30.45 of Hutchison.
Yeah, that's impressive. As Steele goes ninth quick on his first lap, see if he can improve any on his second. He's running a little bit lower than we've seen a lot of guys run coming through 1 and 2. Ideally, you want to have your rights on the darker pave in the corners. That's the older pavement, but there's more grip up there, which I know is counterintuitive to what we normally will see, as Steele goes third quick. Schmeier out on in pit road right now, not out on track yet. But Dustin Burns out on track right now in the 04. New paint scheme for him tonight, rocking the Sirius XM.
Yes, and of course, just so the viewers at home understand, just as we had gone to Dustin Burns, his truck was all white. We use a program called Trading Paints here in conjunction with iRacing, and of course, it just takes sometimes the blink of an eye to get those paints updated, but we do want to make sure that all of these drivers getting the recognition that they need. And here is, speaking of a great paint scheme, this is the Reformation Brewery Double Deuce, driven by Jeff Schmeier, out here for his qualifying attempt. Of course, as I mentioned just a moment ago, he did win this race back in the fall, so I'm betting that Jeff Schmeier knows how to boogie around this piece.
And that's not how you do it.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I really wanted to look like I knew what I was talking about tonight.
So Jeff's going to be one and done here for his qualifying attempts. Nope. It looks like it might give him both laps. It looks like they're going to give him both laps because he did not actually take the green.
Well, then we'll do this all over again as he gets it wound up here.
And that's where you want to be, right where he's got that truck right there. Late apex, exit low, get a good run off the corner. Good head of steam for Schmeier as he hauls it off into turn number 1.
Gets it down into 1 and 2 here, and as he rolls through there, you can see that he actually does have that late apex that Tony was just talking about, which allows him to get on the throttle and really roll out of turn 2's exit.
Yeah, you don't want to be stabbing at the throttle pedal here. You want to roll into it, almost like you're massaging your significant other's hind parts with your foot. As Schmeier goes 5th quick on his first lap. Starting right next to
first lap, and he had just nudged the wall a little bit on the first lap, so I'm betting if he gets a good clean lap this time, we're going to see him improve just a little more.
Well, we're about to find out. His good exit off of 4 right there. Straight as an arrow. How do you do? 3rd quick for Schmeier.
"19 cars have already posted their qualifying efforts. Kyle McCartney in the number 18 Snap-on Tools Toyota Tundra out here on his qualifying effort as he's getting ready to take the green flag here on this qualifying effort.
And McCartney not known as a strong qualifier. Kyle McCartney has a racing style kind of similar to my own. Might not be the fastest horse in the barn, but come the end of the day, Clydesdale is still pulling stumps like it was fresh in the morning.
Where do you get these comparisons and so on? Do you have an encyclopedia of this or no?
No.
You're just oh, wow!
And that's going to blow both laps for McCartney.
He could not have found a worse place to have that happen.
Oy.
Well, Kyle McCartney in the number
I
18
said he
Toyota
wasn't known as
Tundra.
a strong qualifier.
Well, you were dead to rights there. We're going to take a look at Scott Kukas, who's sitting here occupying the end of pit lane here.
Kukas is going to have to hustle if he wants to get even one lap in.
Yeah, we definitely don't have a whole lot of time left in qualifying, as there's about 50 seconds left.
Well then.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the Western States Racing League on ESPN. I'm Dave Riegel alongside Tony Trapasso here in the broadcast booth. If you're watching us on YouTube.com, make sure that you turn on those bell notifications, subscribe to us, and let us know who you're pulling for in the live chat, as we are with you every week here at 10:15 Eastern Time for the Western States Racing League. And, always glad to be here with you, Tony. I mean, this league is it feels like a good pair of shoes. It's just a good fit. These drivers out here every week for 46 seasons getting the job done. And it makes it fun to sit here and call the race with my buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I have reached out to a couple of other drivers that I know that are kind of in the same ballpark, high rating wise, as most of the field here tonight, to try to maybe persuade them into coming on over and joining the fracas.
And a fracas it was last week, but this week here it looks like we're going to start fresh, as Jeff Hollingsworth sitting atop the pole here in P1 in the number 97 Coast Guard Chevrolet. On the outside of row 1, Wayne Hutchison. Row 2, Jeff Schmeier and Ryan Steele. Brian Barnes and Bentley Glazer make up row 3. Bob Beltrami and Charles Woods in row 4. Dennis Fuson in the number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet on the inside of row 5. And Troy Campbell on the outside of row 5 in the number 72 Ford.
Javier Torres' Chevy is going to be starting right next to the Fuji Films 31 of Rob Gall in row number 6. Fred Williams and David Weaver are going to make up row number 7. Row 8 goes to Earl Weaver and Julian Ricci. Paul Crumry and Dustin Burns rolling off in row 9. And Alan Bergen, the last truck to take time in qualifying, is going to start inside row number 10. He's going to be joined with Ross Rawlings. Martin Tuck and Kyle McCartney rolling off in row 11. Row 12 sees Eric Woods and Keith Kellman. Angelo Espo and Barry Phil rolling off in row 13. Row 14 is going to see Scott Kukas and Russ Kilgore, James Camrell, and Jeffrey Sloss starting shotgun on the field. So 29 trucks scheduled to roll off here tonight. 4 total sets of tires. They're starting on 1 set. They're laying 3 in the pits. 1 fast repair. But Dave, that track temperature's got me a little bit terrified right now. We're still up in the 3 digits.
Yeah, in fact, let's take a look here as I'm going to take away Jeff Hollingsworth's information. We're going to pull up that race info here. We're in for 120 laps today, as we have a 117-degree track temperature. So, yeah, Tony, it cooled off a little.
Yeah, a whole 3 degrees. You can still boil an egg in the middle of 1 and 2.
Absolutely. But of course, our track info and race info brought to you by Outdoor Cast Iron Cooking. We'll talk about them a little later in the broadcast. But, Tony, it looks like that the pace car lights are out, and they're getting into turn 3.
Yes, they are, as Jeff Hollingsworth going to have the button as we get ready to turn them loose for 120 laps. Pace truck getting ready to duck on off. The only thing that's left for me to say is, time to wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, some lobster rolls, because it's time to get it on New Hampshire. Race fans, it's showtime.
And Jeff Hollingsworth taking the early lead over top of Wayne Hutchison here as the field moves into turn 2 and down the back stretch, being chased by Wayne Hutchison in the number 25. Jeff Schmeier working his way into 3rd position now, as he was just side by side a moment ago.
Yeah, Ryan Steele getting a decent jump there. Steele now has to worry about that number 87, your points leader, Bentley Glazer, all over his back bumper.
And I'll tell you what, Bentley Glazer already working his way up 1 position so far, running in the top 5 now. On the inside,
Something happened with
Something
Martin
happened
Tuck
here?
bring out the first caution.
And we are under caution on lap 2 of 120, and I have to be completely honest. That's something that
That ended poorly.
You know, this happened to Martin Tuck during practice in almost the same fashion, but on the back stretch. And this time he's just managed to replicate it here on the front stretch.
Luckily, everybody else heads up driving to able to avoid him, and he immediately is going to jump to the pits. Now, the bad news is, if you're a Russ Kilgore fan, Russ did not make the call and has already left the session.
Well, that's definitely a shame, as Russ Kilgore, you know, driving the number 2 Blue Oval Ford F-150, you know, he's one of those drivers that does make sure that he's here just about every week. I mean, to be completely honest with you, Tony, to have anything go wrong on lap 2 is uncharacteristic of this league in the first place.
Very much so. As you know, you and I were talking about this the other night. We've seen these guys go, you know, flag to flag without a caution numerous times just this season alone, and I don't think I can leave my shoes on to count the number of times that they've gone flag to flag since in the time that I've been covering this league.
No, and I mean, these drivers, as we've talked about it week in and week out, their iRating average is always ridiculous. And I mean, folks, what we're talking about when we say iRating average, of course, is the way that iRacing measures a driver's ability. You know, we rely on 2 different factors in iRating, where it's, you know, both your safety rating, which determines how safe you drive, you know, whether or not you get into other drivers. But the iRating is usually the one that we are watching slightly closer, as
how competitive you are.
That can determine your competitiveness. And, you know, in a league like this, where they have been together for 23 total years, running 2 seasons a year, so 46 seasons, these drivers have their act together. And, you know, for lack of a better term, they keep the trash away. So it's unfortunate when Martin Tuck, you know, buys the farm this early in a race, but things happen.
Yeah, like my grandmother used to tell me, compost happens, and unfortunately for Martin Tuck, it happened. And Martin's not one of those guys that you would expect to see it happen with. You know, 2,800 iRating, that's pretty much up there. But, you know, something we did mention last week at Michigan, 3 drivers currently in the top 5 have an iRating higher than Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s.
And
that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. If you're going to have a goal, make it that one.
Oh, absolutely. But I showed you that one from Sunday night. That was insane.
You know, when you sent me that, by the way, we are back under green as Jeff Hollingsworth crosses the start-finish line here, leading Wayne Hutchison. That blew my mind when you sent me that on Sunday. I mean, I stared at it for a minute, and it's almost like my brain couldn't compute. My brain couldn't handle it.
Now, what we're talking about is I sent a screenshot to Dave on Sunday with a league that I helped broadcast that night. The top 2, the average iRating between the 2 of them was 6,000. The average of the 2.
Which, when we're talking about average, the average driver on iRacing who's been on the service for, you know, 5 and 6 years is usually about 2,200 to 4,200, and that's spending 2 and 3 nights a week in public races.
Yes. So when you see, you know, somebody with an iRating north of 7,000, and like, holy cow, what did we just get ourselves into? And that was the first time all season that driver had been beaten in that league. But right now, Jeff Hollingsworth is the man to be beaten here tonight, as he has already stretched out about a 5 truck length gap back to second place, Wayne Hutchinson. The rest of the field, pretty single filed out, just kind of biding their time right now. Got a battle starting to heat up between Schmeier and Steele. That is your battle for third. as they are right there with Hutchinson. So second, third, and fourth, all right within about a truck length of each other as Steele looks to the inside of Schmeier going through 1 and 2.
Well, and Steele, who has been off the last couple of weeks here, has picked up right where he left off as he is now chasing down Jeff Schmeier as if he owes him some lunch money. And I guess maybe he wanted the extra milk or an ice cream cone, one of those sundaes with the strawberry stuff in the bottom of it with the little wooden stick. I guess Schmeier promised him that, and Ryan Steele wants it now. We are under caution again as it looks like James Campbell has gone off track, and Martin Tuck also has had himself an incident here. We'll take a look.
Campbell was just a victim of circumstances there.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look at it right here, folks, as we see the number 19 of Martin Tuck working the inside of Campbell. And, geez, this is getting a little slow for my taste.
Watch it on the exit of 2.
And here it comes as we're going to slow this down for you folks. We see the number 19 of Martin Tuck just come into the right, to the left rear of James Campbell, gives Campbell the nudge and sends him for a ride. And of course, by that point, Tuck gets another hit on him before he dives down to the inside.
Yeah, that's not something you want to see this early.
Well, especially when you consider that.
What is on Campbell's tonneau cover?
Stand by.
Is that a Nyan cat? Damn millennials didn't expect me to know what a Nyan cat was, did you? Haha, showed you.
Look at you, the old head with the perspective. There it is. United Floors. I don't know what the cat has to do with it. You can say damn millennials all you want, but I'm a millennial and have no idea what it is.
No, you're a Gen X trapped in a millennial's body.
All right, I'll accept it.
You're an honorary Gen X, and I claim that as such.
Well, as long as you say it's fine, then it's fine. I'll take it. So what is this cat thing?
I don't know. There was some meme that was out in the early days of the internet. There was a cat that puked rainbows.
Okay. Interwebs.
Yes.
You know, so speaking of the interwebs, I was out searching for something to eat the other day and was led to outdoor cast iron cooking on youtube.com, and our good friend Dean the fog crawler. You know, I've never been able to say fog crawler on the first try.
Are we talking about the meatloaf?
No, well, actually, I was going to talk about the mac and cheese, but because of course, if you're going to have meatloaf, you're going to have macaroni and cheese, right?
Absolutely. And what do both those recipes have in common, Dave?
Bacon. They have bacon
Exactly.
in common, Tony. Listen, we saw the. I just shed a tear. I just shed moisture out of my eye thinking about it.
I'm getting the meat sweats just thinking about it.
No, that's fine. That's just a hot flash. You'll be okay in a minute. So, they had bacon-wrapped turkey the other week, and this week we find bacon-wrapped meatloaf and bacon-infused macaroni and cheese. It's Fog Crawler Smoky Mac and Cheese that I'm paying attention to. And you can check that out over on youtube.com. Search for outdoor cast iron cooking. You know, I have to say, Tony, we have developed quite the odd and close relationship with Dean the Fog Crawler and Joni the Teardrop Nanny, don't you think?
Absolutely, and I can't wait to have the opportunity to meet those two in person at some point in the future. They've already made a promise that once Dean leaves his current place of employment, they are going to make a trip out to the right coast.
I'm all for it. I can't wait to meet them. I mean, they have treated us just so cool. I mean, they have been amazing for the Western States Racing League, making sure that, you know, they are sponsored and on the air. And not only that, but they took care of us by getting that Beltrami salami pizza going for us.
Absolutely.
And, just glad to be here, you know, with them in mind. So Make sure that you're going over to youtube.com and check out all of their recipes. Everything is delicious that we've tried so far, and I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a battle right now, hot and heavy for second place. That's Hutchinson on the high side, Schmeier on the low side, as Hollingsworth has jumped out to about a 10 truck length gap already, as they are starting to reel him in, but Schmeier not giving an inch right now, as Hutchinson trying to hang tough on that second lane. Schmeier's got to get this one done quickly, because all he's doing down there is burning that right front tire off.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, it looks like they put the hammer and tongs away and just gotten out the torches and pitchforks, as Ryan Steele also looking to get in on the dance, working the inside of Wayne Hutchison. But don't look now, Tony. Look who's behind Ryan Steele.
And looking to the inside, is there 3 wide.
There it is. We're just about to go 3 wide as Bentley Glazer looking to the inside of Ryan Steele, my God, on lap number 14 of 120 in Loudon, New Hampshire.
And it looks like Hutchinson heard 3 wide, 2 inside, and immediately just backed out of it. Discretion being the better part of valor for that Toyota Tundra number 25, as now he has to deal with the points leader, Bentley Glazer, and Brian Barnes right there as well in that Popsicle NASCAR Hall of Fame number 4.
I have to say, when he went 3 wide there with Glazer on the inside, it's almost like when you go to a public bathroom and you open up that stall door and somebody's already in there, and you just suddenly close the door like it's an emergency and you have to leave immediately. That's exactly what just happened there. I mean, especially on a track like Loudon, New Hampshire here, where you don't want to be in that position whatsoever.
No, you don't. Most terrifying thing you can hear your spotter say, 3 wide, you're the meat. 3 wide anything here at Loudon will send chills up your spine, because it can end, and it won't end anywhere but poorly. Just ask Kenny Irwin Jr.
Absolutely, and right now just watching Paul Crumry securing 14th spot away from Earl Weaver in the number 46 Chevrolet. And looking back here for Eric Woods. Eric Woods driving the number 85. And the 85 is not our traditional Chevrolet Woody wagon look tonight.
I've noticed that. He's rocking the Cheetos paint scheme, and all he's doing right now is making me hungry.
Looks like something is going on with Alan Bergen. We're going to take a look back here. We're still under green on lap number 20.
He just went up and hit the wall. Oh, sweet mother of pearl. I just had a Code Brown moment, and now I'm up here in the booth.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it. We're going to take a look. What happened? Besides Alan Bergen.
Go watch Alan Bergen.
We see Alan Bergen drifting down the racetrack here going into turn 1.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh, yes.
Well, back to racing, though, here on lap number 21. Alan Bergen buying it and towing himself into the pits, getting out of the way. Right now, it looks like Paul Crumry in the number 15 chasing down 95 of Fred Williams. And this is going to get hot and heavy yet. We'll check back with them in a minute. But right now, Jeff Hollingsworth, that gap back to second position. Jeff Schmeier closing into about 1 second. Still several car lengths between the two, but as usual, we do start to see here in the Western States Racing League a lot of single file action, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. But getting back to the whole Alan Bergen thing, if you need your fire suit cleaned, you need to go over to Cleared Cleaners over on Loudon Road in Concord, New Hampshire, for all your dry cleaning needs. They can definitely get those stains. They can definitely get those stains out of your fire suit too.
Well, I do. Well, folks, if you ever wanted to save that $59 a year that you spend on AAA, you can always go to Tony. You don't need a triptych, you need a Tony.
You can't get that from here. Most annoying thing I've ever heard when I was living in New England.
All right, so here it is. Are you ready for this one? So I'm taking a look here in the YouTube live chat. Our good friend Dean the Fog Crawler is in there. Dean, hey Joni, good to see you tonight. We are supposed to check out the mac and cheese from scratch, so that will be going on my list. And then he says, by the way, we are penciled in to camp, cook, and eat in the great outdoors in the infield of Daytona during Speed Weeks in 2024.
This means I have to go to Daytona now.
It looks like we're going... We. This is going to be the Sim Racing Media ESPN Trip of the Year for 2024.
All right, so how's this going to work? I drive down to Philly, pick you up, and we go?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm there.
All right.
Even
Sounds
if I
like a
have to
game plan.
walk on my hands and knees, if I have to crawl to Daytona, I'll go hang out with Dean and Joni.
Well, here's the good news. I drive a Subaru, so winter weather doesn't affect me.
Oh, that works. Then we're fine. And you know that you're getting closer to Daytona as the temperature goes up.
Exactly. But it's the whole getting out of New York and Pennsylvania that's got me slightly worried.
It'll be fine. It'll be fun. Listen, we'll put some chains on there. Do we use chains anymore? Does anybody
No.
use chains anymore?
Colorado.
Besides drop chains.
Colorado.
All right, fair enough.
And then going down that certain road that leads into California that they call Cabbage Patch. If you've never been down Cabbage Patch, you owe it to yourself as a driving enthusiast to go down Cabbage Patch at least once in your life. Because as you crest the top of the hill, it says, pull over, check brakes ahead.
That's when you know that you're on a quality stretch of road.
45-degree grade ahead.
That's when you know that you're on a quality stretch of road.
But check this out. You go down this grade and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't too bad. You hit this kind of flat section. And then there's a sign that says, that wasn't it. I kid you not, there's an actual sign that says, that wasn't it.
That's horrifying.
Then you go down Cabbage Patch, and you hope your brakes hold by the time you get to the bottom, especially if you're in a tractor trailer, because there's a stoplight at the bottom as you get into town. Here comes McCartney 3 wide.
Nobody. These four drivers going at it hammer and tongs right now.
Right then. So now that you guys can hear Dave again.
I touched the wrong button. There's a lot of buttons here. They're all lit up. Oh, you know what? That's something. Dean just pointed out, where's Big Daddy tonight? Number 53 Chevrolet.
I just realized that myself. Apparently he's still recovering from the SRM 200 that happened on Saturday night at Atlanta.
Tell me that wasn't a blast, Tony.
Oh, it was so much fun being in the booth with you and Dave, with you and Mike. That was so much fun.
I mean, listen, folks, the next time we tell you about a special race being held on SRM and ESPN's airwaves, you got to make sure to tune in. I mean, the three of us were up there having a blast watching the drivers on the track. I mean, I think we were having more fun than the drivers did.
Probably, and we got paid for it.
That's true, and only the top four plus a random fifth got paid for that particular race.
But we did give away free merch.
Everybody likes free merch because you know what they say, if it's for free, it's for me. And speaking of things that are for me, Tito's Handmade Vodka driver, the number 11 of Dennis Fuson, working the outside of Paul Crumry in that Dr. Pepper machine here.
Now, there's a drink combination.
Dr. Pepper and vodka?
Why not?
Whoa! Javier Perez-Torres getting loose coming out of turn 2, going down the backstretch. That seems to be a spot tonight, Tony.
Yeah, turn 2 seems to be Calamity Corner where everybody is having issues tonight. And the only thing I can figure is that's the corner that's been getting the sun most of the day. As it's only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in sim time. But Crumride working the inside of Torres right now. Drag race down the back straightaway. Torres still does not have a complete handle on that truck because he's trying to lay the power down.
Well, you know
and
what I'm
they're
starting
kind of bottling
to
him up
here.
behind him.
Well, and what I'm starting to suppose here, Tony, is Javier Perez Torres. We're on lap number 34 of 120. And like you just said earlier, they're going to lay 3. So I'm guessing he's getting to the end of those tires.
Pretty much. I mean, especially with as low as he's been running. This is not a track where you want to be down on the grass in the middle of the corner. You want to be up at least 1 or 2 hash marks. I would dare say where Torres is right now is ideal. McCartney's a little bit lower than I would prefer running here. As now here comes Fuson to the inside of Torres, of the 17, trying to get by him. And yeah, I dare say those tires are whooped, because if you look throughout the entire field, you're looking right now at just about a 1.5 second fall off after 30 laps.
And you know, we're gonna ride along here with Javier Perez Torres. We're gonna go here in the cockpit just to see how much work these hands are doing on the wheel.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, we see him all nice and easy here, but watch him try to feed this thing into the turn. My God, Dennis Fuson has got to be one nervous Nelly there on the inside, coming out of turn 2 as he is also starting to get loose coming out of turn 2, as these tires have just turned to liquid here on the inside.
And a quick check of the weather conditions. Hey, guess what? The track temperature's dropped 4 degrees.
Well, it's 4 degrees, but 4 degrees not enough.
True story is Rawlings now works to the inside of the 17.
Of course, those 4 degrees now making it 113 degrees. You can check that out here in the bottom of your screen, folks. And, and it does say, that's right, Dean the Fog Crawler did check in the SRM 200, and he was definitely happy with Big Daddy there. Of course, Mr. Carl Burke, who was performing very well in that race on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a fun race to watch from pillar to post. But looks like McCartney and Crumride going hammer and tongs at it right now, as they finally got that one sorted out. McCartney with a 4-wheel drift coming off a 2, though.
Absolutely, and we haven't checked in on our leader in quite a while, but that lead that was several car lengths long has now been evaporated to 0.2 of a second between Jeff Hollingsworth and Ryan Steele. And Jeff Schmeier on Ryan Steele's bumper there, too. And, I mean, you know, here we are. They've got to be toward the end of this fuel run as well. And, you know, I know that you had said in pre-race, you know, during our production meeting, you know, probably looking at a 30 to 35 lap, you know, length of, you know, tire
just based on tires, yeah.
Right, just tires alone. But this
you can
league
get about
has
50
shown
laps out of a tank of fuel.
Exactly, and this league has shown me that they are not willing to come in for tires. They are only coming in for fuel. So when they need fuel, they'll come in for tires, not the other way around.
Well, here's the thing, too, that you need to take into consideration. You've got Hollingsworth, Steele, Schmeier, and Glazer all pretty much throw a blanket over them. And then just about a 4 truck length gap back to Brian Barnes. And then you're over 2 seconds back to Bob Beltrami, who's running in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, and we see it every week. I mean, right now I'm watching Jeff Schmeier in the Double Deuce Reformation Brewery F-150 chase down Ryan Steele. And I mean, you know, whoa. Things are getting a little hairy up here as Hollingsworth working his way through lap traffic. That's got to be terrifying, especially when, you know, you're here toward the end of a tire lifespan and, you know, there you are dancing around lap traffic.
Yeah, he's not happy right now with the 42 of Barry Phil. Hearing words and phrases in the in-sim chatter that just be glad that we're on tape delay.
Well, this is ESPN, not Disney, so, you know, things like that are more than possible to happen. And right now, looking at Brian Barnes, all of a sudden getting the run on the 42 of Barry Phil. So he's going to have time to close in here on Bentley Glazer as we are at lap number 42 of 120. And a couple of takers down pit road in Troy Campbell and Angelo Espo, as they are the first to blink. And, you know, keep in mind, they were toward the end of the lead lap of cars. In fact, they were a lap down each of them, 2 laps down each of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's both the Campbells, Troy and James coming in pit road. Fred Williams, Martin Tuck has spent the last 20 minutes on pit road trying to get that truck fixed. And then, yeah, it looks like foreign fuel for everybody that has come into pit already is, here's the 72 coming out of pit. That's Troy Campbell. The question is, who's going to be the first one of your top 5 to blink? Because I can guarantee you, whoever's going to make that move first, the rest of them are going to be very soon to follow.
Absolutely. And as we sit here getting ready for those green flag pit stops, we are going to go side by side and pay some bills, Tony.
Sounds good.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, the wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series. And we are back at the Miracle Mile up here in Loudon, New Hampshire, as we've been seeing a few more green flag pit stops taking place. No one in your top 10 has blinked yet, though, as we are working lap 50 of 120 here. Hollingsworth, Steele, Schmeier, Glazer, and Barnes continue to be your top 5. Barnes dropping back just a little bit, getting caught up with those lap trucks. But throw a blanket over your top 4 as they are running stem to stern right now.
Absolutely. And Bentley Glazer starting to make that crawl up as he is getting ever so closer to Jeff Schmeier in the Double Deuce Reformation Brewery F-150. Ryan Steele closing in on Jeff Hollingsworth, but, you know, at this stage in the game, you know, these drivers are, wow, Hollingsworth getting a bobble here as those tires have got to be nothing but smooth on them, you know.
Well, they were nothing but smooth to begin with. They've got to have cords showing by now.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, at this point, they've liquefied, and they're just out here skating around. But I'm starting to get really curious when these drivers are going to come in and pit. Now, keep in mind that Kyle McCartney came in on lap 10. So,
Under
he
the
has-
caution.
Under caution. So he's got a few newer tires, but I'm curious whether or not he'll get on the same pit cycle as these other drivers or if he's going to stick it out the way that he's been.
I dare say he's probably going to go with everybody in front of him going, but they're only a couple laps to halfway. These guys could be trying to make this a one-stop race.
I mean, that's entirely possible, but you have to remember in this first half of the race, we've also had 2 cautions. So what's that, about 8 laps of caution running?
Yeah, and you figure you've saved about 3, maybe 4 laps of fuel.
Yeah,
And
and if
battle
this...
for the lead.
Uh-oh, here it comes. Looks
Hollingsworth
like...
on the top side, Steele on the low side, drag race down the front straightaway. Steele's got a good head of steam going into turn number 1. Is he going to send it? Yes, he is.
I wouldn't say that was full send, but that was definitely let's send it. But Hollingsworth not ready to give up and be put to bed early tonight as he looks frustrated and mad coming out of turn 2, going down the back stretch here, chasing Ryan Steele as Ryan Steele has gotten that lunch money and on his way back to get that ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Schmeier right there as well. Glazer within striking distance. Anyone sneezes in the top 4, they're going to get passed right now.
Passed, I wouldn't even worry about being passed at this point. I'd be more worried if you sneeze and that wheel twitches too hard, you're going to take some wall to the face.
Well, you're not wrong.
Have I ever been wrong?
I don't know. Let me ask your wife.
You know what? No, busy. She's busy. In fact, she said that she had no comment.
Sure, she did.
She's suddenly a mute.
No. Far from that one, because I've Ross Rawlings blinking out of the top 10.
And we see Rawlings coming down pit road here.
First one of your top 10 to call no mas.
Look, I don't blame him. I mean, we're
Absolutely.
lap 56. I mean, yeah, he's probably going to need a splash and go here come the late stage of this race. And he's getting those 4 Goodyear tires, getting the tank of go fast, hits the loud pedal, and out of the box he goes.
As you do. But Ryan Steele is wasting absolutely no time pulling a gap on Jeff Hollingsworth right now. About 8 truck lengths to the good for the 12. And you got to think that right now Hollingsworth's in the catbird seat.
Absolutely. And it looks like Brian Barnes, the next driver to blink, as he is getting ready to come down pit road here in the number 4 NASCAR Hall of Fame Toyota Tundra. We're starting to see them fall like flies, but those couple of leaders up here in Steele, Hollingsworth, Schmeier, and Glazer, those top 4 not even close to ready.
Well, here's the thing with Ryan Steele. We know he is going to extract every single drop out of a fuel tank before he brings that truck pit side. The question is, and there it is, Bob Beltrami is going to be the next one to call no mas. Pitting
Well, and
from
Beltrami
fifth.
coming in at lap 59, so he is about as close as you can get to making it halfway. And at this point, he's got to be betting on a couple of late cautions here in this race.
As you do. The fact that they've gone as long as they have without that dreaded flag coming out, that's impressive, especially here at Loudon, where usually cautions breed cautions, but they got those out of their way early, and they were only, one was a 1 vehicle wad up, and I think the second one was maybe 2 vehicles, but not really anything major, except for the 19 of Martin Tuck, who unfortunately is still on pit road. Fred Williams in the 95 has been on pit road for the last 10 minutes.
Well, and I hate to contradict you at all, but, you say that it's impressive and surprising that we've gone like this over these, it's now 61 laps. But to be completely honest, it's impressive if you compare this league to other leagues on the iRacing.com servers. But for these guys, this is just another race. As we see Schmeier now working the inside of Hollingsworth, and Schmeier now securing P2, but Ryan Steele, your race leader, along with Bentley Glazer and Jeff Hollingsworth, getting ready to come down. Schmeier going to try to lay down one more lap out here before he's got to be ready to come in, as he's going to try to put as much distance as he can between himself and Steele, Glazer, and Hollingsworth.
Well, let me just pull up the little fact checker here from the last Loudon race. Yeah, 2 cautions for 8 laps. 4
double deuce
leaders,
is
5
getting ready
lead
to-
changes. And Schmeier led 73 of the 120 laps.
Well, Schmeier now giving up the lead and getting ready to pass it off to Charles Woods. Is Charles Woods going to stay out yet for another couple of laps? Probably just one more, as we're on lap 63 of 120. But the double deuce is down on pit road.
Here's the biggest point I want to make. Last year at New Hampshire, Bentley Glazer finished dead stone last.
How? He's never last.
He had connection issues.
Wow. Just wow.
And was the only truck not running at the end of the race.
Beth Mills in our YouTube live chat giving it the old go Schmeier. So and also it looks like Aqueous Transmission had a message retracted, but Beth Mills, as always, good to see you. It's interesting when we get to see people in the YouTube live chat. I know that you and I have talked about it off air and of course in Discord with several of our colleagues at ESPN and Sim Racing Media. But it's almost like we feel like we get to know people like Dean the Fog Crawler, Joni the Teardrop Nanny, Beth Mills.
Absolutely.
On a Monday night, I get to meet some really nice people, like Rebecca Miller, who's always there watching her son. I mean, I have a lady on a Monday night who watches Monday Night NASCAR's Xfinity Series, and her son, she watches from green flag to checkered flag every week, Tony.
Oh, yeah. No, I get that on Friday nights as well with the Rowdy Energy Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series.
I can barely pay attention to a full race when I'm sitting on the couch on a Sunday because I get drowsy and fall asleep.
Yeah, but you don't have family out on track at that point.
That's fair.
I mean, the league owner's mom loves watching those races. She loves it even better when her son's leading those races.
Oh, absolutely. And tomorrow night, making their return to ESPN is going to be the Way She Goes Racing League. So if you like hanging out with us tonight, you'll like hanging out with me tomorrow night at about 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And in the Way She Goes Racing League, actually, the league owner's grandparents watch the race from flag to flag.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather could barely get dial-up internet to work.
Yeah, my dad wasn't too internet savvy as well, but
just as
what I just saw out of Bentley Glazer and Ryan Steele, it's
gonna
a wonder.
get hairy.
Yeah, it already has. And it's better get some Nair out because it's getting that hairy right now. This Glazer and Steele went 3 wide to go around a lap truck.
I mean, if you really think about it, Bentley Glazer spends a lot of time up front. I know that I've talked to him in post-race. Sometimes I feel like once you're up front all the time, week in and week out, it's got to get a little boring up there. So to have Ryan Steele back out on track, who is always giving Bentley Glazer a run for his money, it definitely has to make Bentley Glazer perk up a little bit to see his opponent out there like that.
Well, I mean, you think about it. The last handful of weeks, you've had Steele, Barnes, Hollingsworth, Hutchinson, Beltrami, Schmeier, and McCartney all taking shots at him. You know, at some point, Bentley Glazer's got to feel almost like Mike Tyson back in the late 80s.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you know, rightfully so, because of course this is a fixed setup league. So these drivers all out here in identically set up chassis. You know, the only thing that they get to do is change their steering ratio and their steering offset and brake bias. I mean, other than that, everything is exactly the same. So that speaks so highly to Bentley Glazer's ability as a driver.
I think it speaks highly to everybody in this field's ability as a driver. You know, the fact that, again, last season, 2 cautions. This season so far here at Loudon, 2 cautions. Any other league we've broadcast from New Hampshire, I try to call in sick.
Oh, absolutely.
But Glazer working the inside of the 07. That is Keith Kellman getting up out of the way. Steele right there within striking distance. As battle's starting to brew for third place between Brian Barnes and Jeff Hollingsworth. Barnes had a good run. Hollingsworth going to get the momentum going into 3. Barnes wisely backing out of it, kind of trying to save a little bit of tire right now. As Myers already back up into 5th. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that a lot of these guys are thinking about making this a one-stop race. Glazer, Steele, Hollingsworth, and Schmeier all pitting at the halfway mark. Barnes came down on lap 57. Beltrami came down on 58. McCartney came down at halfway. Rawlings on 55. Wayne Hutchinson, I don't think Wayne's going to be able to make it from here. He was one of the first ones to call no mas back on lap 45. But the rest of them should, if we stay green, should be able to make it. A little bit of saving here, a little bit of saving there. And, you know, they should be able to make it the scheduled distance of 120 laps without much issue.
Absolutely. I mean, here on lap 74, Bentley Glazer has just managed through, it has to be sheer will, to get himself where he is right now atop the pile, followed by Ryan Steele. We're going to make kind of go through the field here, folks, as Ryan Steele running in P2. Then Jeff Hollingsworth in 3rd, Brian Barnes and Jeff Schmeier round out your top 5. Bob Beltrami in the number 14 Beltrami Salami Toyota Tundra. Starting the rest of our top 10 here, Wayne Hutchison, as Tony had just mentioned, definitely going to have to wind up stopping one more time before the end of this race, running in 7th. Ross Rawlings in the number 91 in 8th. Kyle McCartney in 9th, and Rob Gall rounding out your top 10. So, you know, these drivers getting it done. But, you know, I was just thinking about this regarding Wayne Hutchison, Tony, and maybe it's just me, but maybe he's betting on this thing going green and those drivers not thinking, hey, listen, that was 61 laps with 8 laps of caution mixed in there. So he's going to get to come in a little early, and while these drivers are going to be gambling to get to the end.
Yeah, but if you're going to gamble on anybody making it to the end, my money is going to be on the 12 of Ryan Steele. Probably one of the best. Him and McCartney are actually the 2 best at extracting every drop of fuel out of those tanks. But right now, Steele giving Glazer all he can handle right now, as first and second have a 3-second gap back to Jeff Hollingsworth in 3rd.
Absolutely, and we do see that there's, you know, the action, I would say, starting to heat up, but honestly, everybody has gotten single file. The most exciting thing out on the racetrack right now is the 4 car of Brian Barnes working the high side of Jeff Schmeier, as Schmeier getting ready to lift him out of the way and secure P4 as they are side by side coming out of turn 4, going down the front stretch, getting ready to cross the start-finish line. Schmeier edging Barnes out, but right now, looks like Barnes is going to try to dive in underneath him again and try to lift him out of the way. It's almost like he's trying to use a shoehorn to get his foot in there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no quarter asked for, no quarter given between those two. The racing hard, but racing clean, and that's what Western States Racing is all about. Excuse me. Go ahead.
And I'll tell you what, Ryan Steele right now getting closer and closer to the back bumper of Bentley Glazer, as Bentley Glazer working his way around the back stretch. Right now, it was a little scary to see Paul Crumrye getting loose behind Ryan Steele. Is you know, in a situation like this, especially in a league like this, you don't want to be the driver that takes out the leaders. You know, Sunday night NASCAR Cup Series action over on Sim Racing Media and ESPN. I mean, we had one wreck that took out literally the leaders and the top 12.
Sounds like fun.
It was a blast for those of us that were in the back. It shuffled me up to 9th.
But the thing to keep in mind, too, this is round 16 of a 20-race season for these guys this year, or this season. There's only 4 races left after tonight. Next week, we're at Canadian Tire up in Mosport, Ontario. Then we go to the final dirt race of the season at Eldora on May 17th. The 24th, we're at Phoenix. Then we're off for Memorial Day weekend. And then we're back at the season finale in Vegas. Place your bets on that one, folks.
Yeah, you know, and we're definitely going to have to be tuning in, all of us, to season finale in Vegas. And speaking of things to tune in on, looks like Ryan Steele getting ready to go door handle to door handle with Bentley Glazer as they get the pitchforks and torches out to start doing battle here going down the backstretch. Glazer looks like an angry hornet's nest all on his lonesome here, coming on the inside of Ryan Steele now into turns 3 and 4. And as they roll into turn 4, Steele gets a run on him. And oh man, they make contact, but nobody loses control. It does allow Ryan Steele to get back in front of Bentley Glazer. Things getting real hot and heavy here, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you can feel the frustration level starting to ramp up here as we are just past the 3/4 mark. Ryan Steele, Bentley Glazer, 3 seconds to the good over Jeff Hollingsworth in third, who has another 2 seconds back to Jeff Schmeier. Brian Barnes is another 2 seconds back off of him. And then you're 4 seconds back to Kyle McCartney, another second back to Bob Beltrami, another second back to Ross Rawlings in 8th. Wayne Hutchinson's almost 3 seconds back in 9th. And then rounding out your top 10 is Charles Woods, who is 10 seconds back from Hutchinson.
You know, and like we've seen so many times in this league, I mean, you know, these drivers, once they get into that groove, they're more than happy to start picking each other off one at a time. But, you know, pack racing and driving in a knot, not something that we usually see here in the Western States Racing League. And folks, speaking of the rest of Western States Racing League, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribing and turning on those bell notifications. Give us a like down in the comments section. And, of course, speaking of comments, make sure that you're giving us a shout in the live chat as Angela, Jocelyn, Richie does great racing and commentating. Go long and strong, Julian. So Jocelyn out here cheering on Julian Ricci in the number 1 Chevrolet. Of course, right now looks like he is down a lap, but running in 18th position right now, chasing down the number 40 car of Charles Woods in that United States Postal Service Chevrolet.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, field pretty strung out right now, which you'd expect on these long green flag runs to see that happen. You know, guys attacking pit road differently, getting on and off pit road differently, hitting their box differently. And those guys that had to spend a little extra time in their box due to, you know, some mandatory repairs to make sure that these trucks are in tip-top shape in the closing laps, you know, that's something to be mindful of. But I'm not liking what I'm seeing that's in front of Ryan Steele right now, as he has already caught 12th place Dennis Fusan. Julian
Well-
Ricci up there as well. So a gaggle of lap trucks, and the leaders are going to have to deal with them soon.
You know, and that's unfortunate. My gosh, what a knot of trucks. I just got a view of that. Of course, these trucks here coming down the backstretch, they are going to have to be polite enough to get out of the way of Ryan Steele. And, you know, this is a casualty of having a long green flag run and having very skilled drivers atop the pile. You know, limited cautions like we've been talking about for the last little bit here. 2 cautions for 8 laps so far this evening. And now Ryan Steele putting Julian Ricci down another lap, chasing down Dennis Fusan in that Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet.
Well, the thing is, Fusan and Gall, that's for position.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to give that up easy.
No, absolutely not, and they shouldn't. But you know, as we start to see him work his way, as we start to see Steele work his way toward Fusan and Gall, I mean, they're holding on for dear life, and if he gets around them, then it's all about the lucky dog position in case we have a caution before the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the 42 not making it easy as he goes a lap down to those 2 lap trucks. We're 3 wide again.
3 wide with Fusan in the middle, and Fusan wisely pulls it to the high side and gets out of the way, as now looks like Steele, wow, gets real low there below the yellow line on entry, as it looks like he's simply trying to keep some distance between himself and Dennis Fusan in that number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet.
It looks like he's trying to loosen that truck up by using the apron to unsettle it to try to get that truck to rotate. He may have used up the right front tire, and that truck might be getting a little bit of push here late into this tire run.
Absolutely, and we see Ryan Steele working the inside now of the 31 car of Rob Gall, putting him a lap down. Rob Gall, now your lucky dog, going to be duking it out with Dennis Fusan, and as they leave, as Steele and Glazer leave the 31 and 11 in their dust, we are at lap 93 of 120 and going to pay some bills, Tony.
Sounds good.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire here on ESPN. I'm Dave Regal alongside Tony Trapasso here in the broadcast booth. 23 laps to go as 98 laps have been completed here in Loudon. Your race leader, Ryan Steele, with about a half-second lead over Bentley Glazer in the number 87 Gatorade Chevrolet. Lots of drivers right now trying to make this a one-stop race as pit stops basically went to wholesale status on laps 60 and 61 of this piece, and they're looking to see if they can stretch that 60 and 61 lap run all the way here to the end. Tony, listen, it's been competitive and it's been hot and heavy all night long, and this is 2 weeks in a row of hot and heavy racing in the Western States Racing League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like when they took that week off for Easter, that, I mean, everybody's aggression level just ramped right up last week when we went to the house that Penske built up in Michigan. And they've continued that right into this week, as Poussin and Gall have not given an inch to each other since going a lap down.
You know, and it's not often that we start watching battles between lap cars, but I mean,
I'm sorry,
now,
that's Poussin and Woods.
Yeah, I was going to say, and now we're even watching Dennis Poussin in the number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet going at it hammer and tongs with Charles Woods in the number 40 United States Postal Service Chevrolet, as these two drivers duking it out right now for a top 10 finish.
Hammer and tongs, nothing. That's axes and pitchforks, my friend.
Well, I can't even disagree. You're not wrong. And Ryan Steele now has that lead extended over Bentley Glazer to a second even. So he has doubled that initial gap in the last 3 laps here for reasons I can't quite explain, as we are now at 19 laps to go at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you got to figure that unless we get what nobody wants to see, Steele just has to hit his marks here moving forward. He's not overdriving the truck. As a matter of fact, I did put a GoPro on his helmet before we went live, so if we want to see what he's doing behind the wheel right now, it would be surprising if he wasn't just as smooth as glass.
And we can see Steele looking here to the inside as he goes down the back stretch. We see him set up real nice, and smooth as glass is absolutely accurate as he's going to look here to the inside. We see him shifting down to third gear, which allows him to keep those RPMs up, and he is not fighting this wheel one bit. That truck dialed in perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. You compare that to, let's take a look at what Poussin's doing. So Poussin is just hogging on that wheel right now, and he's driving his backside off to try to get everything he can out of that Tito's Handmade Vodka number 11. But, you can see the aggressiveness in the wheel that Poussin is using. Compare that to Steele. Steele just initiates the turn, lets the truck do its thing, rolls back into the throttle, and goes, whereas Poussin's fighting it.
Oh, absolutely. Poussin getting himself down into third gear right now. We're going to take a look at his dashboard and just see what he can see here as far as speed's going. And there it is here on the right side of your screen. You can see as he's going to get ready to gear back down into third gear, getting down to just about 100 miles per hour as he gets ready to exit and roll that exit. He's just fighting it left and right.
Yeah, these guys are just picking them up and laying them down right now, Dave. And, this is Western States Racing at its finest. Got a couple of cautions early from cold tires, got it settled down, got some heat into the tires, got some heat into the track, and then, these guys are just cranking off laps here as we are now 14 to go.
Absolutely, 14 laps to go, and Ryan Steele, Bentley Glazer, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeff Schmeier, and Brian Barnes are your top 5. Kyle McCartney, Bob Beltrami, Ross Rawlings, Wayne Hutchison and Dennis Fuson are your top 10. And these drivers, just like you said, laying them down, picking them up. As the Western States Racing League, one of these leagues that they are in rarefied air in this league. I mean, we can see so many other leagues that we broadcast on ESPN and SRM, and that they don't carry themselves with as much class as this group does here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never a lot of bragging going on. Even in the post-race interviews, it's never a lot of bragging. It's always, complimenting the other drivers on track. It's always saying, so-and-so gave me a good, hard, clean run. And that's what we love to see with this league, is the fact that nobody's braggadocious. They let their driving speak all the words for them. Interesting side note, I just took a look at the top three's iRating. Want to take a guess what it is right now?
3,200.
No, the top three.
Oh, the average?
Average of the top three.
4,500.
You are correct, sir. 4,502.
Wow. Well, I could never do that again. That's like having the gas pump shut off on an even number.
Yeah, but even number of gallons or even number of dollars?
Yes. Oh, was that a yes or no? Was that an either or? I chose.
That was an either. That was an either or.
I chose both. That was select all.
Oh, that's right. You and Frank both suffer from CDO. For those of you who don't know what CDO is, that's where you're so OCD, you need the letters OCD in alphabetical order.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of letters before C and after D to get to O, so it'd be nice if the rest of those were in there too.
A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F, U?
That's the way. Speaking of OCD, so there's a story about classical music. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'm sure you're not, so this is going to be a fun one.
Try me.
So supposedly, it was Johann Sebastian Bach's children who would play music down the hall from their father and not finish the song, and it would drive him nuts, and he would come out of whatever room he was working in and fly down the hallway to finish the stanza or the line that they were playing because it was driving him crazy not hearing the end of that stanza.
Right. Oh, they used to torture their father with that because he would make them practice their instrument for hours on end.
I can't even imagine that. Like, you're the child of one of the greatest people in, music history, and there you are, basically torturing them to the ends of the earth.
Well, South Park actually parodied that, where they would sing the opening line for "Come Sail Away," and then just stop. And Cartman would lose his mind having to finish the song before he could continue with his next thought.
Cartman he's quite the musician. I mean, he sang a beautiful song. Yes. Oh, God, yes. I mean, Cartman was a beautiful musician. I mean, he sang a beautiful song about Kyle's mom.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That was the best love song I've ever heard.
I really thought that it was an homage to Kyle's mom.
It was a love song. So get your hate mail coming now, folks. That's Tony Trapasso, care of ESPN Towers, Syracuse, New York, PO Box OU812.
6 laps to go here at Loudon, New Hampshire in the Western States Racing League. Ryan Steele not going to be singing any songs about Kyle's mom as Bentley Glaser about 2.3 seconds behind him. This lead has gotten a little out of control for Bentley Glaser to try to come in on. So Ryan Steele in his first race back after several weeks off. Second.
He was back at Michigan.
Okay, fair enough. But sitting atop the pile. So glad to have him back and giving Bentley Glaser a run for his money here as Jeff Schmeier in the double deuce. Just 1 second behind Jeff Hollingsworth, but Hollingsworth fighting just on the low side of Keith Kelman, the lap car in the 07.
Something to be mindful of, too. Last week at Michigan, Steele led the most laps there as well. However, he only finished in 4th.
You know,
Pit
that has to
strategy
be the
not
most-
playing its part in his defense.
That has to be the most frustrating thing as any kind of a driver or any kind of an athlete to lead for so long. You know, like a baseball team who's got an 8-run lead going into the 7th inning, and all of a sudden that lead just evaporates when the bullpen comes in. Or, you know, a football team where you get through the first half and, you know, the first 3 quarters, so you've got a 20-point lead over your opponent, and all of a sudden in the 4th quarter they score 21 points in 3 minutes.
Ask Atlanta.
Yes, always. I mean, I didn't want to say it out loud because I feel bad.
Hey, I don't care. They had their foot on New England's throat and choked.
They definitely
Plain
do
and
get the
simple.
21st Century Choke Artist of the Century award. But I'll tell you who's not choking so far right now as he is getting around nice and smooth here. Ryan Steele in the number 12
Popsicle sticks in
Chevrolet.
the air.
Yes, sir, as we are 2 laps to go. Everybody getting ready to stand up on their feet for the conclusion of this race. Ryan Steele with 2.98 seconds over Bentley Glazer in the number 87 Gatorade Chevrolet, who leads Jeff Hollingsworth in the 97 Coast Guard Chevrolet. 3 Chevys atop this pile with a blue oval and a triplet of Toyotas back through 7th position, Tony.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Schmeier's lone Ford is the only Ford in the top 15 right now. Mostly Chevys and 4 Toyotas. As coming through turn 2 for the final time, white flag is in the air. Ryan Steele in command of this one. He could pretty much cut the ignition off from here and still come home with the victory. Coming out of turn 4 for the final time, checkered flag is in the air in his 2nd race back after leading the most laps last week, leading the most laps this week. Ryan Steele, your winner at Loudon. Break out the lobsters.
There is lobster, there is clam chowder, and they got the car all kinds of cranked up.
What just happened to Hollingsworth?
Bad things. Bad things happen to Hollingsworth. We're going to rewind and take a look. Oh. Well, we see Hollingsworth coming out of turn 4, and just as he crosses the start-finish line, it looks like the 17 car driven by Javier Perez Torres just locked him up on the finished side of the start-finish line.
Hollingsworth was there, Schmeier was there, all catching a piece of it. But you know, the winners of the races here at Loudon get a fresh lobster from Maine. You should see the size of the claws on some of these lobsters they're giving away. My shoes were smaller than the last lobster I saw given away at Loudon.
Hey, listen, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm not sure if I would rather have the lobster or a grandfather clock from Martinsville.
Why not both?
That's true.
But just the claws, oh my God. I would hate to have that thing latch on to any part of my body. You could chop a stump in half with one of those things. It doesn't matter.
Right now, going to be looking for Ryan Steele for a post-race interview here. Tony, I believe you have Ryan Steele in the booth with you?
I do. In his 2nd race back for the 2nd week in a row, leading the most laps. This time, finishing the deal, coming home in 1st place. Welcome back, Ryan Steele.
Thanks, guys. It's been nice the last couple weeks after having a month of computer repairs. It's great to be doing well right out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. And, you know, you did well here last time we were here last season, but weren't able to close the deal this week or tonight. You were one of the class of the field from the word go.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like I learned a lot from the last time you were here, because the last time you raced here, I spent almost the entire race thinking that staying in 4th gear was the way to go. And then at the end of the race, I finally learned how to shift without disrupting the car in the middle of the turn, and managed to apply that for this race. And really, to a degree, you could almost argue that the reason why I was fast in the long run was because I was too slow in the short run. I couldn't go as fast as some of the other guys, but I caught back up to them anyway.
Well, conversely, with you not being as high of pace in the early going on a tire run, you actually had more tire left at the end. So, there you got to weigh the checks and balances there, and it looks like you hit the nail right on the head tonight, coming home with the victory here at Loudon. How difficult was it at times getting through the lap traffic?
Lap traffic wasn't so bad, other than when I came up on a battle and they weren't necessarily realizing that there was a battle coming up. Heck, I mean, there was even one time where I accidentally took people 3 wide because I didn't even notice that there was a car in front of the guy I was trying to pass that he was also trying to pass. But for the most part, it was okay. So long as I could get my nose in there, they'd usually let me go after that.
Yeah, absolutely. As we saw you when you caught the battle between Fusan and Gall. They quickly realized what was going on and kind of got in line, and then Fusan followed you through and was able to get by Gall, so that kind of broke that little battle up. But you and Glazer looked like you were having fun out there during that last tire stint.
Yeah, Glazer surprised me in that second run when I come out of the pits and all of a sudden he's in my mirror and I'm like, how do you make up all this time already? Where'd he come from? And I got a little concerned when after he passed me, he started getting away. And I was like, I was counting on the first run. I was counting on being better in the long run. But if he gets too far away, I won't be able to make it up. But I managed to keep up with them, did better than I expected, really. And yeah, it turned out great.
Absolutely, Ryan. We're going to let you go celebrate with your team, but before we let you do, we are going to be going to Canada next week and Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Your thoughts going into the final road course of the season?
I haven't done so well at most part in pretty much anything I've tried to race it in. I think last time I got a top 5 or something, though, which was surprisingly good, I think. So hopefully I can match something like that at least. Probably won't be competitive for a win or even really anywhere close, but hopefully I can get something good out of it.
All right. And who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate?
First of all, I've always got to thank you guys for covering the series because it always makes it much more fun when my friends and family can watch what's going on. And got to thank Bob for running the series, and I got to thank my Dog Bear teammates who always help me, mind share all the stuff that we've got to figure out for the race day. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, Ryan Steele, congratulations on winning here at Loudon. Go enjoy that lobster, sir.
All right, thank you.
And Dave, I believe you have Bentley Glazer with you now.
Bentley Glazer, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
Yep, I got it.
Hey, man, listen, here you are sitting atop the points lead, finishing second tonight. What do you decide that you, how are you feeling after that tonight?
I think I got a better finish than, I kind of deserved. I think I was like a 4th or 5th place car, and I was just able to get out off the pit road and have some clean air, and was able to make up times. Yeah, Ryan was flying. I wasn't going to touch him. That's for sure.
Ryan was flying is absolutely right. I mean, listen, you guys were going at it like crazy all night long, and I mean, it was exciting just to watch from up here. I mean, it's got to feel good to have. It's almost like my worthy opponent coming back in front of me. As Tony and I were talking. It's got to get lonely up there sometimes when you're leading so many races. I mean, you've got 5 wins on the season. You could almost coast for next week yet, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, not wreck and just finish up the point season. So, I got my wins. So, yeah, I'm happy just finishing top 5.
Absolutely, man. And hey, listen, before we cut you loose, getting ready to go to Mosport it's next week, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Mosport next week. How are you feeling about getting on Canadian Tire up there?
I like that track. I know I'm okay at it. I know Kyle McCartney is super fast, and Brian Barnes and Ryan, he's always fast. Everybody, Jeff, they're gonna be up there. So I don't know. I think I'll be in the top 5 again, but it's gonna be tough to win. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. Hey, listen, before we cut you loose, anybody that you need to thank tonight?
All my teammates at OGR, you guys for broadcasting, and WSRL for letting me run with it.
All right, brother. Listen, we'll cut you loose. Congratulations on that P2 finish tonight, getting on the podium. And we will see you next week at Mo's Sport at Canadian Tire.
Yeah. See you next week.
And Tony, I believe you do have the driver of the Double Deuce Reformation Brewery F-150, Jeff Schmeier.
No.
I'm sorry, Jeff Hollingsworth, the number 97
the
Coast Guard
driver of the
Chevrolet.
97 United States Coast Guard Chevy Silverado.
Maybe
Your
I
pole
shouldn't be
sitter,
reading the two
Jeff
of them together.
Hollingsworth. You need to not drink as much beer during the broadcast, my friend.
It's not that much. I'm not Harry Carey.
Schmeier was there, man. He was coming. I was trying to keep ahead of him at the end there. He was cooking.
But yeah, absolutely, Jeff Hollingsworth. Congratulations on yet another podium this season. It's been a strong showing all season. Just what can we do to kind of dethrone your teammate, though?
I don't know. He's a machine, and tonight he plays the drums in a band, and I sent him a text. I'm like, hey man, you gonna race and all this, because usually he's there a little earlier. He pops in with 25 minutes to go and just kicks butt. That's what he does. He's badass.
Yeah, absolutely. But we go into a track next week that nobody's really looking forward to, from what we can gather, and that is Canadian Tire up in Mosport, Canada, the Greater Toronto Metroplex. Your thoughts going into the final road course of the season?
Keep it on the track. I'm not a roadie, man. Now Bentley can tear a road course up, but yeah, my goal's the same. Tony, you've raced with me on road courses. We did 24 hours together.
We finished P3 in the 24 hours of Daytona together,
right,
so I know you know.
Fast.
See, I know how to call shenanigans on something, and you're one of the reasons why we did finish P3 in the last time I was actually behind the wheel. But Jeff, congratulations. If the season ended tomorrow, you would have something you could really hang your hat on, a season to really be proud of. But there's still 4 races left. What do you need to do to climb higher in the point standings?
Well, I don't know if he's put the drop weeks in yet. I know he has a couple of drop weeks, but I've had some, I changed computers, so I had some computer issues. I had pedal issues, wheel issues, and where all of a sudden the wheel would just stop working. Anyway, so I've got a couple of DNFs and some bad finishes, but I don't know. I'm just having fun, and I'm glad to be considered one of the people to run against in here. But man, I tell you what, that Ryan Steele, man, I was telling him I had no idea how much I was holding him up until he passed me, and I'm like, holy crap, man, I'm sorry. He says, nah. He says, I was just running. And anyways, it was a great race. But as far as the rest of the season, I don't know. Just let's see. I'm looking at the schedule. Eldora, that's hit or miss for me. Phoenix is a good track for me. And then Vegas, and Vegas is usually good. So hopefully I can top 5 it out, man. That's all I kind of shoot for, is to try to be top 5er. It's work for me. So, and just a little bit better luck. I've had a lot better luck on Fridays. So anyways, I'll shut up.
All right, Jeff, who else do you need to thank before we turn you loose tonight?
Yeah, man, just again, congrats to Bentley, Ryan on his win, Bentley on his second place. My teammates that were into tonight, it was Charlie and Paul and Troy and Freddie and Bentley, of course, and you guys for putting the show on. I can't wait to watch it, and of course Bob and all the stuff he does for this league. It's a lot of fun to run. I look forward to it every Tuesday and every Friday, and that's it, brother.
All right, Jeff Hollingsworth, we'll see you next week in Canada.
Oh, Canada, y'all take care.
And Dave, just like that, we've got another one in the books.
Tony, we say that every week, and it's always exciting to see what's going to happen next week. And, tonight we've got Ryan Steele atop the pile, but next week, of course, when you go to a road course, you almost have to kind of think, well, maybe this is the week somebody else gets up front. I mean, I know Eric Wood's a Canadian native up there, the only Canadian native in the field, finishing 17th tonight. Maybe this is a home track kind of deal for him next week. What do you think?
Fingers crossed for him, but it's going to be hard to bet against Kyle McCartney. Is every time we've come to a road course, McCartney has shown himself as being one of the ones to beat. For that matter, Schmeier's no slouch on a road course either.
No, absolutely. And as we look here, it looks like we had 7 cars on the lead lap at the end, as Ryan Steele comes out atop after the battle here in New England at Loudon, New Hampshire, followed by Bentley Glazer, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeff Schmeier, Brian Barnes, your top 5, with Kyle McCartney, Bob Beltrami, Ross Rawlings, Wayne Hutchison, and Dennis Fuson rounding out your top 10, Tony.
Absolutely. Is Charles Woods coming home in 11th, Paul Crumry 12th, 13th going to David Weaver, Rob Gall, Javier Perez-Torres rounding out your top 15, Earl Weaver, Eric Woods, Julian Ricci, Troy Campbell, and Keith Kelman rounding out your top 20. And then we've got Dustin Burns, Jeffrey Schloss, Barry Phil, Scott Kukis, James Campbell, Angelo Espo, top 25, Fred Williams, Alan Bergen, and Martin Tuck rounding out your starters. Russ Kilgore did not make it through Tech. So that is going to about do it for us tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow night as we have a complete... I believe we've got a triple header tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just...
Tomorrow should be. Let's double check.
Yes, with at least a double header, with you being over at
Way She Goes.
Way She Goes, and then that's an 8:10 start.
Should be 9:10 Eastern time for Way She Goes, as they have now returned to ESPN.
And an hour before that, Frank and I will be at Dover for the Thunderclap Stock Car iRacing Series at the Millennium Mile 200. So I kind of cringe when I see that the name of that race, but it is what it is. So that is going to about do it for us tonight here from Loudon. For Mr. Dave Regal over in the production truck on the 1s and 2s, this is Tony Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.